कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नित्य नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. Today we will be discussing on Bhagavad Gita Sloka 10.37, chapter 10, verse 37. So I will read the verse translation, verse synonyms, translation and purport now. The verse is as follows. Vrishninam vasudevosmi pandavanam dhananjayah muninam apyaham vyasah kavinam ushana kavihi. Synonyms. Vrishninam, of the descendants of Vrishni. Vasudevah, Krishna in Dwaraka. Asmi, I am. Pandavanam, of the Pandavas. Dhananjayah, Arjuna. Muninam, of the sages. Api, I am. Aham, Vyasaha, Vyasa, the compiler of all Vedic literature. Kavinam, of all great thinkers. Ushana, Kavihi, the thinker. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Of the descendants of Vrishni I am Vasudeva, and of the great Pandavas I am Arjuna. Of the sages I am Vyasa, and among great thinkers I am Ushana. Here Ushana is Shukracharya. So, purport. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead and Baladeva is Krishna's immediate expansion. Both Krishna and Baladeva appeared as sons of Vasudeva, so both of them may be called Vasudeva. From another point of view, because Krishna never leaves Vrindavana, all the forms of Krishna that appear elsewhere are his expansions. Vasudeva is Krishna's immediate expansion, so Vasudeva is not different from Krishna. It is to be understood that Vasudeva referred to in this verse is Baladeva or Balrama, because he is the original source of all incarnations and thus is the sole source of Vasudeva. The immediate expansions of the Lord are called Swamsha or personal expansions, and there are also expansions called Vibhinnamsha, separated expansions. Amongst the sons of Pandu, Arjuna is famous as Dhananjaya or the best of men, and he therefore represents Krishna. Among the Munis, or learned men conversant in knowledge, Vyasa is the greatest, and because he explained the Vedic knowledge in many different ways for the understanding of the common mass of people in this age of Kali. And Vyasa is also known as the incarnation of Krishna, and therefore Vyasa also represents Krishna. Kavis are those who are capable of thinking thoroughly on any subject matter. Among the Kavis, Ushana, Shukracharya, was the spiritual master of the demons, and he was an extremely intelligent and far-seeing politician. Thus, Shukracharya is another representative of the opulence of Krishna. So, let's get into our discussion now. We can open Srimad Bhagavatam. Three six 36. The verse number is 36. Canto 3, chapter 6, verse 36. The verse is as follows. Tathapi kirta yamyanga yatha mati yatha shrutam kirtim hare swam satkartum giram anya bhidha satim. Translation. In spite of my inability, whatever I have been able to hear from the spiritual master and whatever I could assimilate, I am now describing in glorification of the Lord by his pure speech. Otherwise my power of speaking would remain unchaste. So this is a very important verse which is speaking about the chastity of sound or the voice or the tongue is to glorify the Lord. Use it in the glorification of the Lord. We can speak whatever we have heard from our spiritual master, because otherwise then we will be mixing our own impure concoctions and we will be misleading the public, which is nothing more than cheating. Right. So we have to use this tongue for glorifying the Lord, and we have to use our ears and other senses in similar processes, and this is what we are trying to do in such kind of discussions. Now we see that Bhagavad Gita is like a sandwich, and in that sandwich, the top portion, the bread, the crumb of bread which is there on the top, is like the chapters 13 to 18 of Bhagavad Gita, which is called the Jnana Yoga, and the bottom, the bread at the bottom, is chapters 1 to 6 or Karma Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita. And the vegetable stuffing or whatever stuffing is there in between, that is the essence of the sandwich. Similarly, the chapters 7 to 12 are essence of the Bhagavad Gita, which are Bhakti Yoga. It is kept preserved in the Bhagavad Gita very nicely. Between the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga is the Bhakti Yoga, and it is kept preserved very nicely, just like the vegetable stuffing in between is kept preserved with the help of the bread. So now moving forward, we see that the 7th chapter is the first chapter dealing directly with Bhakti Yoga, and at the starting itself the Supreme Lord says, Mai asakta manaha partha, that become attached to me, make your mind attached to me. So how do we do this? So we should hear about the glories of the Lord, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. He mentions in the same verse, he says, Shrunu, Yatha Jnasasi Tat Shrunu. Shrunu. So, here. Now, chapter 7 speaks about the general glories of the Lord, and as we go from chapter 7 to chapter 9 and 10, there is very less reference to the battlefield or asking Arjuna to fight. Like for example, in 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter, Krishna told Arjuna, Tasmad Uttishta Kaunte Yuddhaya Krita Nishchaya, so get up and fight. And Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasyadhyatma Chetasa Nirashir Nirmamo Bhutva Yudhyasva, fight Vigata Jwaraha. So he encourages Arjuna to fight, but slowly as we go from chapter 7 to 9 to 10, there is very less reference to the battlefield, or like the Lord is now stopped asking Arjuna to fight. Very less time, little to no references are there in these chapters about the battlefield. Then again from chapter 13, then Lord encourages. So the Lord encourages and ends with the Bhagavad Gita, asking Arjuna if he has any doubts, and if he is ready to fight in the last chapter, 18th chapter, that will come later. So this shows that this section is very important, the Bhakti Yoga section. And Sadhya and Sadhana, these are two processes. So the goal and the process to achieve that goal, two things. So then moving forward from chapter 7, we speak about chapter 8, and chapter 8 describes the supremacy of the Lord, how to attain him, and chapter 9 describes the glories of the Lord, and chapter 9 describes about the glories of devotional service, and chapter 10 describes about the glories of the Lord. So the glories of the Lord can be spoken by only the Lord himself, and that's why he is speaking like this. So one can refer to Srimad Bhagavatam 2:741 in connection with this. So Canto 2, chapter 7, verse 41. So this section of Bhagavad Gita is called Swa Mahima Varnan, where the Lord describes his own qualities, rather who he is, how and everything about himself. So these chapters from 7 to 12, they either speak about the glories of the Lord or they speak about the glories of devotional service. So in chapter 9 and 10, we see that Arjuna never asked questions. Like like in chapter 9, Arjuna almost he never asked a question. So Arjuna Uvacha came very less in the 9th chapter, 10th chapter. This is because Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary, he describes it as in the way that Lord answered unexpressed questions of Arjuna. So here this section is so pure, so potent that Lord became completely immersed in learning, in speaking about it, and in that process he answered the unexpressed questions of Arjuna only. So here Arjuna in the 10th chapter, he is showing symptoms of a pure devotee, that he knows already about the glories of the Lord. He is convinced, but he still wants to hear from the Lord himself. So he only asks questions in the 17th verse of the chapter. So he speaks definitely, but he glorifies the Lord, and then in the 17th, 16th verse up till the 18th verse, he asks questions, how I can remember you. So hearing increases remembrance. So first hearing, then comes chanting, then comes remembrance, like that. So in the Bhagavad Gita, verse 10.16, Arjuna asks, how can I remember you, and those questions for the sake of the common people. And in 10.17, he asks for the sake of materialists and for the sake of personal absorption. And in 10.18, he asks that question for relishing the nectar of hearing the glories of the Lord. So then from the 19th verse up till the 42nd verse, the Lord describes, and he also says that Athava Bahunaitena Kimnyatena Tavarjuna, with a very small fragment of my opulences I pervade this entire universe. So there are many opulences given, around 81, 82 opulences are given. So we want to describe something unfamiliar by using something familiar. This is called metaphor. So here all this comparison that is given, that of the descendants of Vrishni I am Vasudeva, and of the Pandavas I am Arjuna, of the sages I am Vyasa, and among the great thinkers I am Ushana. So these are all metaphors that the Lord is using. So we want to describe something unfamiliar by using something that is familiar. Okay. But it can be sometimes even culturally eccentric as well. Like for example, we say that the Lord's lotus lip is like the bimba fruit, but people do not know, but many people in today's world do not know the bimba fruit. So previously everything was India, all were together India, but then now everything got divided into different countries. So these are given by the Lord, but we want to describe something unfamiliar by using something which is familiar. But even if the familiar is unfamiliar to me, it becomes very difficult to understand. That's why in the purport, like some people, for example, of the Pandavas I am Arjuna. So we are trying to describe the Lord, that is, nobody can understand the Lord. So unfamiliar by using something which is familiar, that is Arjuna's example. But if the familiar also is unfamiliar to me, like for example, many people in this world don't know who is Arjuna. So for them it becomes very difficult to understand what comparison is being made. That's why in the purport, every verse Prabhupada gives, okay, this is this, He explains. So Vyasadeva is this person, Arjuna is this person, Vasudeva is this, the father is this, and Shukracharya is the guru of the demons, etc. etc. So other kind of comparison is that of a simile, where in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.12.19 to 26, there's a similes are being used, comparing using like or as. Like Parikshit Maharaj, it was said, Parikshit Maharaj will be exactly like Ramachandra in ruling the kingdom. He will be exactly like a lion in warfare, etc. etc. So Shukracharya, coming to Shukracharya, all of these opulences are fine. So of the descendants of Vrishni, the Lord is Vasudeva. Of the Pandavas, he is Arjuna. This is very much familiar to us. Of the sages, he is Vyasa. Among the great thinkers, he is Shukracharya. This is sometimes a confusing point, that how can Shukracharya represent the Supreme Lord? He is a guru of the demons. He is a non-devotee, right? So Shukracharya is the only non-devotee who knows the glories of the holy name of the Lord in full. That's why he is chosen to represent the Supreme Lord. That's the thing. Now, for Vasudeva, one may think that, oh, okay, Vasudeva can mean the father of the Supreme Lord. It can also mean the Supreme Lord himself. It can mean Balrama. It can mean the Vasudeva Sankarshan Pradyumna Niruddha, that Vasudeva expansion. So who are we talking about? So for Vasudeva, we can have either Vasudeva, Balrama, or or Krishna. So Balrama is mentioned in Prabhupada's purport as well, and Balrama is mentioned in Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary as well. But Krishna can be used here, but we are only speaking about opulences. So Vasudeva can mean even Krishna as well, but here we are talking only about the opulences of Krishna, not Krishna himself. So Vasudeva is mentioned in Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary. So it can mean even Lord Krishna's father as well. So all of these are correct. The thing is that there is a different interpretation, but all of these are correct because all are opulences of the Supreme Lord at the end of the day. So then so these are about the opulences of the Supreme Lord as mentioned in this verse, Bhagavad Gita Sloka 10.37. So up till the 39th verse, Krishna gives an explanation of his opulences, and then in the 40, 41 and 42nd verse, he glorifies himself again, saying that there are unlimited opulences that I have, but these are only a small fragment which I have shared with you. So these opulences are there so that we can be attracted by the Supreme Lord, to the Supreme Lord, and we can perform devotional service unto his lotus feet. This is the end of my explanation on this Sloka Bhagavad Gita 10.37. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Dandavata Pranams.